Okay, we going to start the new lesson on Spring. Some of you already learn in TP, but now we are going to start just the first part of Spring, and we may not going to learn part 2 because there are not enough time. We will start, maybe we will add part 2 at the last of Jum'al course. So now we just learn the introduction of Spring. If you go to the website spring.io, you will see this interface. So Spring is a framework. It's called a Spring framework. Framework is like something that already built for us, and normally it can be a lot of component or plug-in that module that we can add, remove, add or remove, and also it has mostly it has a documentation for us to be able to use those framework. Spring framework is built on Java, and the goal is for web development. So it's just like other technology for PHP and for JavaScript. We use Express.js for JavaScript, Node.js. Then we use Vue.js. We also use Laravel for backend. And Spring framework also the same. But the only difference is that Spring framework is in Java. But Spring is not only in Java, it's also in other language. You will see in the phase of Spring when you generate the project. So it's called a benefit of having a lot of out-of-the-box solution. There's a lot of things that already given for us, and the community of Spring is also very huge also. So we don't need to worry about writing the ton of additional code. In Spring, we just add dependency, or we add the module, the library. It's took a little time for configuration, that's all. If you see in the tutorial of Spring framework on YouTube and other, they will teach you a lot, just like connect to the database. It's very simple and easy. You just add Hibernate Spring JPA, and configure the connections property and create the class for creating a table in database. So it's much easier than what we use in ZDBC. And just like authentication is already have, we don't need to write it. Let's go. And if we want to customize the authentication, the way of authentication, we will need some configuration or inheritance. class inheritance. So it's fully object oriented. If we want to change the way of a class work, we inherit from that class. So almost everything is already have on in Spring. Here is some feature. So Spring also used in streaming TV, it connected car, online shop. There's a lot more. And the flexibility of Spring is the use of inversion of control and dependency injection. And productive, it has a Spring Boot that is easy for us to start from scratch. It has a configuration for us to build a project. It's very fast one. It has a Spring tool that can development tool that can live reload and Spring Dev tool. It has a lot more. Some of you in group A already test the tool yesterday. So we write the code just like a normal way without build or something. Write the code and then refresh the page. So it is the feature of Spring. It has a microservice. It's called a quick deliver production grade feature with dependency involvement, evolvable microservice. Microservice which just like a small project or small application that we can interact with. Like it provide interface for us to connect and manage the or call the function of that application. So microservice we compare to the service of a computer. The service is intended for us to use as existing product, existing software that we can call from anywhere. For example, printing service. Printing service we can call from any application. From Microsoft Word, from PowerPoint, from browser, we can print. So printing service is we can call from anywhere. So we call it a microservice if it is a part of our project. So combination of those services, it creates a flexible, scalable application. But to do that, we need to understand a little about how to make a module that is a microservice. But it's not very hard because it's already built for us. So we just follow some rule. We will get the microservice. Reactive is asynchronous. So every request from the client will be done asynchronously. And cloud, so you can it can support in any cloud. Framework, It's an web application because it has a lot of module in there. So you can connect to database, you can connect to the Firebase, MongoDB and others. It's a lot of, and it's also a web application. So if we think about PHP, we already learned. So PHP we can use to connect to database also, and also we can use for display a website, a web page. So it's very similar to PHP, but it's more similar to Laravel because it has all the built-in function in there, just like Laravel. If we compare with Laravel, if you want to compare to Python, it is Django. It's similar to Django also. The only difference is language, programming language. Serverless. So it is a flexible, scale up to demand and scale to zero when there's no demand. It's serverless and event driven. And last one is batch automate tasks. It has a offline processing of data. So here is Spring Boot, and some of you already use it. Spring Boot is an project that used for quickly build Spring project. We just maybe 1-2 click, it will build a project for us. The Spring framework is the core support of the Spring. So it has the core function that for us like dependency injection for making microservice, dependency injection, transaction management. It has a web app in there. It has a data access, messaging, and the data set is about the database connection. The web app, it's for like observing the web project. So I forgot to mention that Spring is not just web. It's not just for web. It also can build Java application also. It has Spring data that for us to connect to persistent data access, relational or non-relational database. Spring Cloud, it has a set of tools for a command pattern in this distributed system. For easy to deploy a microservice. It has cloud data flow, Spring security. Spring security is like authentication, authorization. It has role-based authorization, and also support the function-based authorization. And the default one is the role-based authorization. So very easy, just add the Spring Security into your project. And you already have the connection. So it will support automatically the authentication. But for authorization, you need some more configuration. A Spring session is provide the API implementation of user session information. Spring integration is for messaging, lightweight messaging, and declarative adapter. Now, what we are going to learn is just some feature. The first one is Spring Boot, Spring Framework. Uh, we may talk a little bit on Spring Data, but not Cloud. Cloud Flow, no also. We will talk about Spring Session and Spring Security, not integration. Spring REST, yes. Spring Batch, no. We not going to learn about Spring Batch. It's not mean it's not useful, but it need at some other time, like you use to send email to 100 email, for example, or you want to schedule to run some calculation, a long time calculation, something like that. But we don't need to learn this one. Just watch the tutorial, that's all. It's fully documented. You can see in spring.io. You can see. And this one not also. Spring for Android, no, because we don't learn Android. Uh, GitHub, no. For Apache Kafas, no. You can see a little about Kafka. It's also popular also, Apache Kafka. Spring Flow is a JavaScript library. Yeah, for the basic embeddable HTML5 virtual builder. It's also a good one, but we may not have time for that. LDAP is one. LDAP is a database. Spring Mobile, no. Spring Rule, it's for building the Java application. If you build Java application using Spring, you can use this project. But for now, I think for us, Java application is enough. So we're not going to learn that. If you want to use Spring Rule, it's very simple. You go to spring.io, start.spring.io. You will see with just one click generate the Java archive. You will see the Spring Rule project. But how it's structured, I cannot explain for now. Spring Shell is for testing RESTful application. But maybe some of you like to use Postman more. But this one I think more useful than Postman. Just for Spring. You know Postman? I forgot to ask.
Yes, we know, teacher.
Okay, good. It has Spring State Machine is for checking the state of some object, variable, some value of object. It's called state machine. Spring Wall. These are not going to learn also. Spring Web Flow. We want also. Spring Web Service. We want also is use SOAP. It is the standard of XML file used for communication between enterprise. But we want just like in this image, one point send to another point using XML. Is called a SOAP web service. But we want going to study this one also. It's another approach that it's for enterprise, so we may not. But you can check the document if you really want to research on that. So now we're going to create a very simple project on Spring. There's two way to create start the project on the Spring. Very fast one. The first one is to go to the website start.spring.io. The second one is to install the Spring tool. You can create to a new project from Spring tool also. But now I'm going to show about the website first. You go to start.spring.io. Some of you are in group A, they already know on this interface, but maybe forgot, I think. So I may ask some group A to explain this part. Who are group A? Let me check a bit. I forgot to check attendance also. Maybe don't need today. So anyone a volunteer? I have put some label on it, so it's not very hard to explain. I just don't want to explain. Okay.
Video one good.
Okay, very good then.
Uh, about the Spring Initialize, we used to create a new project with a website that we join to we go to the spring.io, and then we can initial like the first we select the project. It's Maven or create the project, and then we select about language. We use Java, Kotlin, or Groovy, and the next we need to select the version, latest version record, uh, version that we want to use. And about the next project metadata, we just set a group, like group name or any information that we want to set, and set as a package name. And the next we packaging thì tới là khử trong vậy thà nó được option hay about dependency is library that we can add like MySQL or about the Spring that can have a like framework or library that make it easy to develop project. That's all, teacher. ខ្ញុំអស់ហើយលោកគ្រូលោកគ្រូលឺខ្ញុំអត់លោកគ្រូ
Okay. Can someone explain in Khmer? Hello.
ខ្ញុំអាចនិយាយខ្មែរម្ដងទៀតបានណាលោកគ្រូភាសាតែមិននិយាយអង់គ្លេសអត់សូវបាន
Okay,
ដល់
okay, go then.
និយាយទៅSpring Initialize ហ្នឹងយើងបង្កើត project សម្រាប់ប្រើប្រាស់ Spring ហ្នឹងប៉ុន្តែជាក់ស្ដែងយើងអាចបង្កើតនៅក្នុងកម្មវិធីដែលយើង download និងប្រភេទ Spring Initialize នេះគឺយើងចូលទៅបង្កើតនៅក្នុង website ដែលទី1ហ្នឹងគឺយើងត្រូវជ្រើសរើស project ថា project របស់យើងហ្នឹងវានៅជាមួយ Maven ឬក៏ Gradle បន្តមកទៀតlanguage ដែលយើងប្រើហ្នឹងជាប្រភេទ Kotlin ឬក៏ Groovy ឬក៏ Java ដែលយើង build ហ្នឹង Java ហ្នឹងយើងត្រូវ select យក Java ទៅហើយចំពោះSpring Boot នេះជាយើងឃើញដូច 2.4 2.3 ហ្នឹងជាប្រភេទ version ដែលយើងអាចជ្រើសរើសដើម្បី build project របស់យើងហ្នឹងហើយបន្ទាប់ពី project metadata ហ្នឹងគឺជាព័ត៌មានមួយចំនួនដែលយើងត្រូវការបញ្ចូលដើម្បីដូចជាការដាក់ជា group ហើយនឹង package name របស់យើងនិង description ផ្សេងទៀតហើយបន្ទាប់មកបើសិនជាកន្លែង packaging ហ្នឹងវាមានចាហ្នឹង for EXE for អីចឹងទៅដល់ពេលWAR ហ្នឹង for web application ដែលយើងអាចយកទៅ build web បន្ទាប់មកទៀតដល់ពេល Java 14 11 8ហ្នឹងគឺ version របស់ Java យើង version បើសិនជាយើងប្រើ Java version 8យើង select យក version 8ទៅដល់ពេល add dependency ហ្នឹងដូចយើង add library បានដូចគ្នាប៉ុន្តែបើសិនជាយើង click add ក៏អត់មានបញ្ហាដែរព្រោះអី library ហ្នឹងយើងអាច add នៅពេលក្រោយបានថែមទៀតហើយបន្ទាប់មកយើងចុច generate ទៅវាបានទៅជា file raw file ឬក៏ zip file ដែលយើងអាចយកទៅ extract នៅក្នុងកុំព្យូទ័រយើងបានអស់ហើយលោកគ្រូ
Okay. So in Khmer is a lot more detail. So when the project is generated, it has a structure and configuration. But as you can see, the language that the project we use a Maven project or Gradle project. Here is the project management, project dependency management. So dependency management, as you already learned in lesson 10, right? It's there. It's called the dependency management because it is help us to download dependency. So this generation is just for the project structure and configuration file. So when you build the project, it will need to download more like library you add in here and add the Spring tool, Spring core library will be download also. It depends on what you choose in here. Jar or var. And I have experienced problem yesterday on VS Code. It's on Java version. If you choose the wrong version, it will not be able to list your project. It cannot be built your project. So how can we choose the right one? First is if you have more than one Java version, just like me, I have 3 Java version. No, yes, around 3 Java version. So you choose the one that is default when you install your Gradle. Because when you install your Gradle, it will uh, first you install your Gradle, it will choose the Java version. So if you use Gradle project, make sure that your Gradle is the right version with the Java version you use. For example, if your Gradle is 7.4 or 6.8, so configuration is with Java version 8, so you need to choose 8 also. For Maven, it's okay. By default, it will choose version 8 for you, but you can change. For Maven, we have the configuration of we call it source version. Source version is the Java version. So when you use version 11, for example, if you use version 11 for Maven project, so the Maven project has a configuration that is called source. It means the source version, Java version, source code of Java. So when you build, you need to build that version also. So it's similar to Gradle project. You need to configure the Java version. So if you download 11, your computer, your PC does not have 11. It has around 8. It will not work. But if you build 11, but you use Java 14 or 15, it's going to work. It's okay. So you need to choose the version that is bigger than this one. We can say it's more, it's higher version. So if you choose 8, it will work all the way because 8 is the minimum one. So any Java, I think now there's no machine without Java 8 or greater. So if you choose 8, mostly support almost every machine. But if you choose 11 or 14 or 15, it depends. Some machine that has Java 15 is okay. For dependency you can choose any because you can add later using the POM file pom.xml. It's in Maven. If you use Gradle, you can change add dependency in build.xml of no build.gradle. Yes, build.gradle. And the syntax to write the code, it depends. Here you can use Java. So when you write the code, you can code in Java or code in Kotlin or Groovy. So those are language support for Spring. So if you want to learn Kotlin, you can use generate code by Kotlin language. But now we are learning in Java, so we are going to use Java language. For version, you can use any, but it should be maybe 2.5 or later, because this document is written in last 2 years ago. But now it's not 2.2, it's 2.5, and the latest version is 3 point, I don't know, something 3 point. So the best is to go to the website and check directly. So In website, yes, it's 3.0.0. It's snapshot. It's not yet stable. But if you want to try, you can try this also. For the difference between 3.0 and 2.6, you need to check the document on Spring. And this part your friend already explained. And a dependency, as you can see, there's a lot of dependency. But if you don't add any dependency, you can add later. So I'm going to explain some dependency that is a useful dependency. It has a thousand of dependency but library, but it's not listed in here. So here as the I can say the core dependency. It has a Spring Native. It compared to native executable. It's using the GraphQL VM native image compiler. It's experimental. That means it's not yet stable. This one, if you want to build EE for Windows, you want to compile it into EE for Windows, or you want to build it as executable for Linux and Mac, but it's for application only. So now we talk about web. So this one is not used. It's not useful for web because web we cannot build it. It's for desktop application. If you build it desktop application, is the right one. Spring Boot Dev tool is very useful for us because it provides the application restart automatically. Line reload when you edit the code, make some change, it's automatically reload the configuration for you. That is for fast development for us. So we don't need to we change the configuration, and for example we change the database configuration. We don't need to restart the server. It's automatically. So it's very useful one for development only. So in production don't have. Lombok, it is the annotation library. It help to reduce boilerplate code. It has the annotation that help us on some like configuration of bin and other thing. I think there's a lot of I can say a lot of pre-built code. But into the annotation. The configuration, Spring configuration processor is generate metadata for developer to offer the contextual help and code completion. When you do the custom configuration, it's also useful one. Sometimes you build your own custom thing, so it will have the content as this to help for what that we have customized. Spring Web it's for RESTful and Spring MVC. So normally we should include this for web because we can start coding very fast one. Just like you use Express.js, you write very little code, you can start your website. Some of you in group A already started this one. Use also the RESTful, the REST controller, and the controller for Spring MVC. And also have a custom cat in there. So you don't need to download a custom cat. It's already embedded. It means that it has Tomcat in that in our code already. So you don't need to install or download a custom cat and run configuration. We don't need it all. Just put this dependency. You have your own server in there. But it's not for production. But it can be used as production if you configure the some property of a custom cat container. But all those has a document already, so uh, it should be easy for you to create. Reactive Web is for Web Fluid and Netty. GraphQL it need the Spring Boot version 2.7 around here. It uses GraphQL. REST repository. It has REST. It exposing the Spring data repository via REST over REST via Spring data REST. Spring session is for managing user session. Spring repository hall is Spring REST, yeah, data REST repository. Heteros, I don't know. Also, you need to check on that. It's work with heteros principle, yeah, but you need to check that. I forgot it. Spring Web Service, it's for building the web service, but the content is SOAP HTML. So for now we don't use. It's just for interaction between enterprise. Just see a RESTful web service also. We provide for just OS API. It's also useful, but it's for I forgot it. It's also return like similar to JSON also. Wardin create the UI into Java without getting bogged down the JS, HTML, and CS. So you can try this one also. It's a web framework. Web framework using Java, but maybe it's some other story. For template engine is like you want to extract or to use the Java code inside HTML. So if you use a JSP, Java server page that you have already learned, you can use expression language. And here is the same. It's just like expression language, but I think it's easier than expression language. It is just like you just like you use expression language, but it's easier one. The syntax is different, some different, but if you use mustache is simpler. Free marker also, those are all the template engine you can use, but syntax are different. Syntax are different. So it's used for extracting or call the data of from the backend, from the server. For example, you have HTML code. It's just for static website, but you want to make this HTML to bring the dynamic data into HTML. So you need to use this template engine to help you to take the dynamic data from the server and display in HTML code. So we call it a template engine. So yesterday in group A already test with mustache, but just a very simple syntax of a mustache. For Spring Security, we have Spring Security. We have 002. In Spring Security, we have authentication like login, logout. We have authorization that allow access or based on role or based on function. If admin can access this page, if normal user can access those page. So it's defined in Spring Security. 002 is for authentication. You use for authentication 002 or OpenID. So it's really useful if you use OpenID. I forgot to mention also it supports a lot of maybe this one, a lot of connection with other uh, social login. So I forgot that it has some. It has mentioned some. I don't see. Maybe we need to look a bit into that. The what are the supported authentication of like Facebook, many other things. OpenID is the like we use for authentication to the website that are support with the OpenID. Like we use something that is standard authentication method. So everyone, support the if you want to support the OpenID, it means that you can access to many other websites that support OpenID. I don't know whether this one or not. We have 002 resource server. We have a Spring LDAP. It for lightweight directory access control. It's mostly LDAP is in the window. It's in window. LDAP is just like a database, but it's focusing on only the user database. It means that mostly it's used for storing the user, like user in an organization. So it has the structure that pre-built for a user, list all the user in there. You can add remove user. Mostly adapt in Windows, but maybe for access with Windows also. For Linux, we don't use adapt. We use I forgot it. use everything. Okta is for Spring Security, Spring Boot or auto feature. Work with Okta, but I don't know. Maybe you can check later. For SQL, you can have a JDBC API. It's just like the same what we use in previous lesson. JDBC. Spring Data JPS it support more database than JDBC, and it's also have the OOM like Hibernate. Hibernate is a tool that we can use. We can say it's a framework. It's a framework also. Normally, it's just before it's just a library that can convert a table in database into class in Java. It can map between Java class and table in database. If you already use Laravel, it's very similar to elegant of Laravel. If you use Laravel, you can compare it with elegant of Laravel. But for Node mostly it connect with Mongo, so they don't need the conversion. It is for relational database. This one. Spring Data JDBC. So there's a lot more. So I would pass to other. You can use SLDB, MariaDB, SL Server, MySQL, Oracle, Postgres. I don't see SQLite. Yes, it's too small maybe. Yes, no SQLite. But that does not mean that it does not support SQLite. It supports SQLite, but it's not listed in here because SQLite may be too small maybe. No SQL. No SQL. It's also support no SQL. I cannot talk uh, too much on that. Messaging it support the Spring integration for support live messaging. You can use Spring for rapid upshoot, Kafka. There's a lot more. IO we have Spring Batch validation, Spring Mail, Java Mail Sender. So it send email and many others. And this one, okay, we can pass to other thing because there's a lot other. We cannot explain on this because there's a thousand or million of library, but here it just lists some of the useful Spring, the commonly used. So now I don't add. If you want to add, you can add it. This just like this one, you just click on it. It will add the dependency. And I just test this one. And you need also the Spring Web. Maybe this tool is enough for now. And then you can click explore to check the content of a generated file, the file that is going to generate in as a project, or you just click generate. So oh, I forgot to change this. Oh, it's okay. It's 11. So after download it, oh, I forgot to change this also. But you need to change that. So you can see it has the pre-build. I use my one also. Yesterday I use Gradle, but today I use Maven. But you can use any. So now we are going to build one, maybe the last one, and then the latest one, and then this one can say zip dot I for z, then some project like student management, like food management, food card system, for example. I don't know how to say how to. I can say just the system. I just want to put a small one. Food. So the name is called food. It's for managing the. I forgot the food card. Food card management system, right? Card management system. It's too long. I put just food card management system. It cover on the payment using card. Uh, just like you went to a supermarket, there's a food court that you don't need to pay the real money because they don't accept real money. You need to buy the voucher or buy the card. Put you buy the card and then you take the card or the voucher to buy from the seller. You can't use the real money because they think the real money is very dirty. So they use the card instead of a real money. So I'm going to build this system for example. So and this one is for packaging as web. This one is for application. This one is for web. This one will use Spring Rule. This one is will use uh, Spring Web. Spring Web, yes. And you can see the document. Spring Rule is for Java application. Like here, if you choose Java, it will build as Spring Rule. But if you choose VAR, it will build Spring Web. Yeah, is it? Uh, I don't see. I don't see. Don't know where is it. It has a web. I believe it may be this one. Yes, it's for web. Yes, but it's not. It should have by default maybe. So if you use a web, it has Spring Web, but I don't see it listing. And Java version is okay now. You can download again, click generate again, all this configuration. I will screenshot it if you want to use as a reference. So I'm going to screenshot this.
Teacher, can we use Gradle?
Yes, you can use Gradle.
Yes, teacher.
Wait, you use Gradle, so I will generate Gradle. Okay. Now generate. Ah, your friend already screenshot. Okay, great. You please screenshot again because I changed to Gradle. So now we are going to take this one. And now we talk about the tool for developing this kind of project, Spring Framework. So we have to, so now we can search about Spring tool. I already searched several times, so I will send you this Spring tool. Spring tool is used for building Spring project, Spring Framework project. So it's very useful for building the kind of Spring. So it has a lot of pre-built library for us to use. You can use a clip. If you already have a clip, you just add go to the marketplace and add the Spring. Or you have a high-speed internet, you can download directly here. But now I don't download it, take a long time. So I will use existing, the one that I already installed. You can use Spring Framework in VS Code. You can go to the marketplace or you can search in extension of VS Code. We have uh, Spring Framework extension pack. All that you can install all the three dependency. It has for uh, tier, but I never use this one. I use this and this, but this one I never know also. You can try maybe. I don't know whether it is yes. So maybe for now we use just these two, uh, a clip and VS Code. If you use Mac or Linux, you can download all this, or if you use Windows, you download this. So I think you will take some time to download the software. So now I will show how to use first, and after that, you need to take some time to review the recording and follow the instruction. if you not yet install on Eclipse or VS Code. So now we go back to question. So these are the dependency. So we already add the Spring Web. Oh, we add just one. But the last one we add two. But it's okay. If you use Gradle, so it generated something like this. As you can see, I take screenshots in 2020. So it's 2 years. So it changed a lot also. But at that time, it is the last lesson of the year, like TP 22. So it may be the last of because in 2020 we teach UML first, then we start the Java and OOP later. So this year we taught Java and OOP first, and after finish that we go back to UML. So that's why I told you that we are going to finish just Spring, the first part only, and then we move to UML because UML will take 6 weeks to finish. So as we are now at around week 2, right? Week 2, week 3. So plus 6 weeks, we are going to end the first midterm. So I think it should be started here. So if we finish it on time or as scheduled, we can come back to Spring because Spring it has a lot of modules that we can learn. So I continue to the next step. If you use Spring tool, this one, Spring tool for Eclipse. You can go to import the existing Gradle project. Import existing Gradle project. And this was just a startup page. You just check this, uncheck this one. You will never see this page. So you import the one that you downloaded from the Spring IO. Just browse to it, and then click finish. So you will see the interface here, and also it has the Gradle task. And I forgot that if you do this, you will not see the Spring dashboard. Spring dashboard is for helping us to start Spring server, start and stop Spring server very fast. But here I don't show the Spring dashboard. Okay, I will show later. Let me check a little. Maybe I don't use. Yes. Okay. So we need to use the latest version instead because the one I saw in the lesson is different. because it's the last two here. So I'm going to show the latest one. When you download the Spring, you can see a Spring tool, you can see the content here. When I run, it will show interface just like Eclipse, but it has the title of Spring tool, Misu tool. So when launching, we need to choose a workspace just like Eclipse because it is a customized version of Eclipse. And yesterday I already created this, so I can say again, it's two downloads. I don't want to mess up with the previous one. So now we need to wait a little when a Spring tool start. We can go to the lesson first, maybe. Yes. Here is some code for the application. And look at this part. It's called get mapping. Get mapping is just like we configure the get method. We add the part hello / hello. And then when user browse to this part, it will show hello some name. It should be done. Yeah. So when first start, the Eclipse will show Spring Boot dashboard here. That we can use to start the application, but now we don't have. So we need to import the project first. So I will choose Gradle, existing Gradle project. And then you need to browse to that part. I don't know, maybe I forgot to extract. I forgot to extract it, yes. I maybe extract here. So in download and food card system. Then you go back and browse for that. Download and then food card system. Select the folder and then next. It is the default configuration via Gradle. So as I already installed Gradle, so it's shown Gradle 7.4.1. So I think everything is fine. So we just put finish. It will take some time to download the library. If you add a lot of dependency, it will take a lot of time also. For my PC, every time I build Spring, I may take maybe a cup of coffee. I think maybe 5 or 10 minutes to finish. But it depends on the PC. If your PC is fast, it will be fast also. And it is fast if you already build it once. Just like this time, it's very fast because those library already cached in our PC. You know where is this cache? It is cached in our local directory. C user is the name of your user. For me, it's DICE. And in there, it has a .gradle. If you use Maven, it has .m2. If you use Maven 2, Maven 3, so .m2. But if you use Gradle, it's .gradle. And you can see it has all the library that we add in the dependency. It will cache those library in here for Maven. And for Gradle, it has .gradle. It will cache all the library, all dependency. So if you already build it once, it's very fast one because it did not download from the internet. And you can configure as local also. So you don't need to use internet at all. If you already build it once, so you can write the code and run without internet. But mostly we all have internet, right? So after finish that, and you can see it has a dev tool in there because I already add dev tool. If you did not add dev tool in the dependency, like yeah, if you did not add dev tool, it will not see you will not see the dev tool here. And also the boot dashboard, you can see it is represent a server. It's a embedded Tomcat server. So you don't need to add server like JSP, like in JSP. So you just click start. What? It's not allowed. Uh, so maybe you need to build it first. Yes, you need to select this one first, and then click start. So when starting, it will has the okay. This is useful for us. It is for performance of the log. Normally, Spring will log a lot of message. So in Eclipse, we allow only 80,000 line, 80,000 character, but it's too small. It's 2 times lower. So they suggest to add around 1 million because it will has a lot of log in the console for Spring. So it's also very slow also when we scroll. It's very slow. So you need to go to Window, Preference, and you search for console here. So it has also NC console now. We have a console. So maybe if you have a lot of memory, maybe you can put 8 million. It's much faster. And tape it should be super small. It's just around 4. And to make it optimize our console. So apply and close it. So that our console will be faster, much faster. So now, as you can see, it will start at port 8080 by default. It's Tomcat. So we didn't add Tomcat, but it already has Tomcat in there because we added the dev tool in here. Now we can test on the browser. As I remember, maybe we can go directly on browse, open in browser. Yes. So it does not have anything yet. So, but at least we know that the server is there, but we don't have the path. And we did not define AeroPay and other thing. So now we know the server is working, but it does not display anything. So we need to define a controller. If you follow the document, the controller is added in the Spring Boot application. We can add some in there also, but maybe it's not very recommended. By default, Spring it will find the controller in this folder. So any file, any Java file, it will scan in here by default. You can also change the configuration, but now you will use the default one. We have servlet initializer. We have servlet initializer that it has the we can say a Spring Boot servlet initializer. That is done Spring Boot servlet initializer. It's used for initializing the servlet. Servlet is the controller. That means it initialize the controller. So every part of the web will go through the controller. And about the full code management system application is for starting point of our application. So Spring application dot run it passed by the full code management application dot class and argument. So it is for the starting point of our application, our web application. It's just like if you use Node, it's like app.js or main.js. They are used for the start of the your Node server. So it is the same. It's used for start of your web server. like you can see as main here, just like you run this one. It's a main function and then you run it. So this one is just for initialization of Spring, of a servlet of Spring. If you add directly the REST controller in here, just like in document, it's also work. But I don't want to make the code is complicated, so I just add the new class. So I add new class called my controller or something. Hello controller, because we have slash controller. Or you can add, for example, you want to follow the MVC model view, a model view controller. You might add some package called view, some package, no, some package called controller or model differently. But for now, I will create just in this package. So call it hello controller. So to make this class into a controller, we need to specify that it is a controller as annotation. Add is annotation in Java. Add, we can use the uh, controller. We have two. This one is for MVC. Ah, yeah, it's for MVC. If you use a REST controller, it's for just a simple controller. It's faster than this one. If you use this one, you need to have U. So after you declare the controller, you need to declare the path that you handle. For example, this one I using the index. So now I don't put anything yet. So add get mapping. Put the path there, like slash hello. You are serving the path hello. If you want to serve the home path or root path, you just put slash. So it will become root path here. So now you need to return hello everyone, for example. EH1. That's not to write code HTML in here, right? Because you mix up with Java and HTML. It's not good, but it's just what is okay now. And it's not yet working. If you try to refresh, you can see it's not working now. So you need to specify that it is a response body. After that, it will restart the server again, then you can refresh. You can see hello everyone. Response body, that means this file, this method will return a response body directly. It's not a template. But it's not recommended this way. You can use REST controller instead of this one also. Now I change it to use a REST controller. It also can be used. And you don't need to add the response body. It will automatically add response body for you. So you save it and optimize some code. We can keep now. And the same result. And also you can change something to make it for to the participation. And then I refresh page. You can see. Hello everyone for today. Then I can change saying everyone first. Everyone for today participation. So you can use REST controller or can use the controller, but mostly REST controller for returning as JSON normally. Mostly they don't return HTML like that. It's not practical we use for returning HTML. But it works, right? So it's just for the starting point of our application. So if you follow this example, they add some like request param. It is the request parameter. So request parameter is just like here. You add question mark and then name or username or to someone, sorry, right? Sorry. And you can add some more by add parameter age, for example, age equal to 18. Sorry, maybe 21, right?
22, teacher.
22, okay. Okay, so you want to take this parameter in your code, like a username and age. So to do that, you use request parameter here. And it also has default value. It means that if you did not provide the username, it will be default to something. So I will choose the same or request param, add request param, request param. First one is username, and then you can specify the default value if you want, and then the type of it string, and the name of parameter is username, for example. If you want age, you can put more, add a request param, request param age, and put default into we may be 12, for example, default value. Default default value equal to, then you put it as in and age. So I don't say hello everyone now. Just name equal. Value is small d. Convert from int to string. Oh. I need to put some. Mm, yes. I put the hello name. But in Java, there's a format. Yes, string format. Yes, string dot format. You are 30 years old. What's next? Username and pronoun sale. Hello, Sari. You are 22 years old. It's different from username if I don't provide age. Here, it will say Sari is 12 years old. So it has the default value of 12. Default value of 12 here. Yesterday I have used also mustache, but today maybe I cannot reach there. So next week we have a TP for group A and no, group B and group C. But as you heard about the information, so you need to come to school to have a TP. But we will conduct both online and also the in class. That doesn't mean that you don't have to come. It's mean that you have to come. You still have to come. But if you could not make it next week, so next week you can. But you still have to come because the information provided is too fast for you. So you may not be able to make it next week. So next week you can. Okay. Why we still provide online? Because some of you may be sick, some of you that cannot come. So we will conduct it into two form, online and in class. But when you come in class, you can have only 15 member per class. So your group is around, I think maybe 20, right? The group of I4. Let me see the group A and group B. I didn't count how many. Can you tell me? Someone know?
Around 20 to 25.
In here, I don't know. In here it's 28.
Yes, yes.
Group A is 28. So if you 28, you need separate into two group. One in class that we send in the timetable, and the other group will be the next class. For example, you have 28, so 15 in class. For example, 206F, and the rest like 13 is in 306F. You understand not? If you have two group for next week, if you have for example group A, you have a 28 member, so 15 will be in class 206F, and other 13 will be in 306F. Understand this preparation? So we not conduct in the same class. We will break into two class.
Ơi teacher ơi
Yes,
mình cho ơi miền online ផងơi offline ផងមែន teacher
yes. Because for someone that is sick, they cannot come. So we need to conduct both online and in class. For next week, okay? But in fact, as long as there are some member that are not able to come, we will still conduct online. But for someone that you think that you not feel well, you should not come. Or someone that is very far away, if you cannot make it for next week, you can do it online first. Okay. And for the lesson is finished here, I think. It's all. Yeah.
teacher
So this week we may use yes.
ចាឲ្យបើអ្នកឈឺនឹងយូរច្រើនហ្នឹង online រហូតមែនចា
I just my chẳng. អាហ្នឹងវាអាស្រ័យព្រោះអីខាងក្រសួងគេតម្រូវឲ្យយើងត្រូវតែចូលថ្នាក់វិញអញ្ចឹងណាអញ្ចឹងក្នុងហ្នឹងបើសិនជាអ្នកដែលឈឺគឺមិនបាច់មកទេអញ្ចឹងក្នុងហ្នឹងគឺយើងគិតដែរយើងប្រជុំគ្នាហើយថាបើសិនជាអ្នកដែលអត់ឈឺអត់មកហ្នឹង អ្នកដែលឈឺអត់មកហ្នឹងគឺគ្នាអត់ទាន់រៀនអត់ទាន់ទេអញ្ចឹង solution គឺរៀនពី online ផងក្នុងថ្នាក់ផង
Yeah, sure, get it.
So next week or next week we still have two form of learning. First one is online, second one is in class. So we will conduct both form in Taipei next week. So for the one that cannot come, you can online. You can learn online. The one that can come, you should come. And the rule is very simple. The three that you forbidden to do. I don't know how to talk in English. Is three protection and three not to do. Right. So and also the number of students must not exceed 15 in a class. If more than 15, we break into two classes. So it's a little bit hard for teacher, but we have only this solution for now. For internet, you have internet around 100 megabit per second. So you can use it. I think it's enough for our department. But do not download the game or something so big. If you want to download, you can, for example, have the time that is break time, like around 11 to 1 p.m. or after class at the evening, like 5 to 8 p.m. You can download some big file or game as you want. But during the learning time, I suggest not to download those files because we have not just one group. We have around, I think maybe next week it's around three or four group. Yes, so it's around 100 students. So 100 if a megabit per second, it's not fast enough for 100 students. So should not download some big file and should not play the game. You can play local game, but you cannot play the network game. We did not block because the time is too short. We did not block the game or some download of content, but you should beware yourself, okay? Okay, that's all for today. You have any question?
Chờ số mũi tiết chờ vềរៀន online អញ្ចឹងអាហ្នឹងយើងរៀនម៉ោងដូចគ្នាមួយអ្នករៀន offline ដែរមែនចុះ